You're listening to an Airwave Media podcast.
We took it all. We brought them to our land. An endless night, ember hot and icy cold. The rage of the earth. We made this curse. Carved it in the blood on our backs. We did not see. We could not, but she did. And in the end,
what will I become?
Senua's Saga. Hellblade 2.
Play it now with Game Pass.
Recorded in Chicago, Illinois, with your hosts, Ken, Matt, Neal, and Jeff. This is Triviality.
Hello and welcome to Triviality, the game where lack of seriousness meets a little bit of knowledge. I'm here in the studio with Jeff, mid-sip of his coffee. How are you, Jeff?
I'm well. How are you, Neal?
I'm doing well. And Matt, you're streaming over the interwebs. How are you doing today?
I am. I'm amazed that Jeff didn't know with the big countdown that we were about to record to take a big sip of his coffee.
If only there was a giant number that counted down from 5, like a rocket launch.
It's fine. I only aspirated most of it.
Wonderful.
Matt, are you excited that today is episode 316, named after the highest selling wrestling t-shirt of all time?
Yes, to quote John 3:16. No, Austin 3:16?
I definitely think it was Austin 3:16. I don't think they were selling John 3:16 shirts at the WWE.
Yeah.
Keith Urban might have been.
That's true.
And that's the bottom line.
It is the bottom line. Well, we have a very special episode for you today. We normally say that, but this is even more special than normal. You can hear Ken there in the background.
That's the special episode.
You were a ghost on one episode, right? Or was that me?
I think it was you.
Okay, it was me. All right, so...
it was probably both.
It was. I think I can actually move my mic, though, Ken, if you want to say a few words. Okay. So Ken is here. He's sitting on the side. He's going to be sort of a silent tag partner, which is the first time we're doing this, because we have a full studio of wonderful people that we're excited to introduce. Patreon supporters who came from different states to be here. It was a surprise for Christmas. We'll explain in a minute. But first, let me introduce from Carmel, Indiana. Bethy, how are you?
Hi, good.
And Bethy, why don't you tell us just how this all started? It was from your husband, Dr. James?
Yes, Dr. James. I want to thank him. I asked for a Patreon subscription so that I could potentially apply to be on the show. And knowing my husband, when I asked for this for Christmas, he went whole hog and decided to get the Day with the Podcast hosts. So that's why we're here.
And for anyone who doesn't know this, we have an option that we never thought anyone would do, which is nice that you're here. Day with Triviality, where you could hang out with us all day, do a show, and get into some antics and, I don't know, Jeff, flag football and going to the gas station and listening to Wham and shooting gasoline at each other, that kind of thing.
Yeah, actually, freak gasoline fight accidents are mandatory as a Day with Triviality. So
great. We'll thank James for doing that for you. And also, do you want to introduce? I haven't done this before. Do you want to introduce the person who introduced you to our show?
Oh yes, that's awesome. So I applied to be on, or I asked my husband if I could get a Patreon subscription because I was hoping to be able to maybe be on the show with my sister Bridget, my older sister, who introduced me to this podcast 3 years ago. And Bridget had been listening for a while before. So I said, when we plan this day, as long as she can be a part of it, that would be the highlight. So Bridget and her family drove to Indianapolis, and then we're up in Chicago for the day for this recording.
Well, welcome, Bridget.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am from Virginia, and I have 3 kids, husband, and I'm a teacher. And I started listening to this in Spain when I was living with, I guess it was before COVID, but it was. Yeah, several years ago, and we've always loved trivia in our family, and so I was like, got to tell my siblings, and yeah, so it's been a fun thing for us all to listen to together.
And you fell in love with the Matador in Spain, is that correct?
Yeah. No, I love soccer, and I fell in love with like the only Spaniard who couldn't possibly care less about soccer at all. So yeah, my husband is from Spain. We met there. We moved back to Spain in 2019, 2020. We were there with our kids, and then fled in COVID, and now we're in Virginia.
Well, we're so happy to have you here.
That explains where our one Spanish listener went.
Yeah, right? Yeah, exactly. And Bethy, you said you're a nurse.
Yes.
And you met Dr. James in a little bit of a Grey's Anatomy situation.
Yep. We met working at the same hospital while he was just starting his job right out of residency, and we both worked on the cancer ward. Very romantic place. So it was all the rest is history.
Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you both for coming today, and it means so much that you chose, the day with Triviality. So it's nice to get to hang out. And normally we only see people over the internet. We don't get a chance to hang out in person and do activities and everything. So it's just really nice that we could do this. So you're going to be partnering together today. And Ken, you're going to be a silent partner, so you'll be there to give any clues or anything like that. So it seems like we have a team name for both of you, if you're okay with this. I think Sister Act, Rise of the Beehive.
Yes.
Okay. And Bridget, why the Beehive?
Well, because in our family, we have everyone's first names begin with the letter B, and our last name. So our parents, first and last. And so when my mom's calling us, it's always like, buh, 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 buh. Anyway, so Beehive is kind of where that came from.
All right. Well, fans of Beyonce, please don't come after us. Isn't the Bayhive?
Yeah.
And Jeff, we got an inspiration from Matt. His favorite movie of all time, I'm just going to say it is Theodore Rex, which is another Whoopi Goldberg movie. So how about we be, for your love of presidents, Theodore Roosevelt Rex?
Sure.
All right. Well, cool. So, Matt, you put a game together for us today. Is that right?
That is correct. If you guys follow me at twitch.tv/trivialitymatt, I write a game every single month along with my girlfriend Jane, and we stream it. And so this month I wrote 2 games, so I'm very exhausted. But it should be a fun game.
And what was the impetus for this game, or the way that you designed it, I should say?
Well, I was struggling with categories, so I asked my good friend ChatGPT, give me 20 categories, and these are some fun categories. So be ready for some good questions.
The rules of the game are simple. 20 questions split into 2 rounds worth 10 points apiece. At halftime, there'll be a special swing round designed by this week's host. After regulation, players will enter the final round with the points that they've accumulated and will have a chance to wager 0 to 30 points on 5 categorized questions. At the end of the game, someone will be named the cream of the crop.
I am the cream. Yeah. The cream of the crop.
Well, as long as Ken is good to go, but we can get started then with question 1, the category, famous inventors. World-renowned chef René Arend had cooked for celebrities and royalty before, but would describe this meal he made for a clown as the high point of his career. In 1981, he invented this famous food item, experimenting with hundreds of sauce options and batter recipes before settling on ones that he was loving. What is that food item he invented?
Okay, Jeff and I talked it over, and Jeff, you had some good ideas, so do you want to lock in?
I think we should.
Okay, so lovin' and a clown, McDonald's, right?
Okay.
So a sauce, is that special sauce, like the Big Mac?
But why would he need
a batter?
Yeah.
So not 100% sure, but I think the fillet of fish, since there was a reference to McDonald's with clown and lovin' and batter and
the
sauce.
sauce could be the So
it's all there.
That works.
So, Jeff, you normally try and get rid of clown and lovin' off your search history on the internet, but you wrote down what?
Yeah. So I kept thinking about balls and boots and other such things, and we're going to say it's the McNugget.
All right, so you guys both picking up on the McDonald's of it all, but Jeff and Neal were correct. He invented the chicken nugget. The sauces, I think, were barbecue, sweet and sour, and honey mustard as the 3 that he chose to start with.
What's your favorite, Matt?
Honey mustard.
Not available in most Chicagoland McDonald's, for the record.
That's why I moved. I needed my honey mustard.
I'm a sweet and sour man myself.
Every time my dad goes on vacation, he tries to bribe a McDonald's worker to sell him a whole grocery bag full of... He recently bought 50 of them for $2.50.
He's selling them out the back of his trunk.
Oh, there you go.
Well, that is disgusting. All right, moving on to question 2.
It's good for a year, Matt.
All right, that's fine. All right, question 2 in the category of world landmarks. Approximately only 15% of this new wonder, Rose City, has been explored by archaeologists, which helps explain a bit of its lost city nickname.
Okay, so we don't know many cities that are being uncovered at the moment, but we thought Petra sounded like a nice name of a archaeological city, so we're locking in with that.
Yeah, we don't know either. Obviously, Atlantis had come up because it was lost, potentially, although it might not have ever existed. And you know what probably didn't exist either? But we just said Cibola, the city of gold.
That's the thing you put in your mouth for a sore throat?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I thought El Dorado was the city of gold. New wonder. It's one of the new wonders of the world. It is a lost city. It is Petra, Jordan.
Wow.
That was you. My good job, friend. Wow. Thanks, Ken, for convincing me.
So points on the board there for Sister Act. All right, moving on to question 3 in the category of celebrity pets. Lady is currently the top dog of TikTok with 1.5 million followers. What breed is Lady? The same as Baxter Reynolds, Marshall Rogan, and Gary Fallon.
I was thinking Baxter Anchorman, but you said that was a mutt. So
I was pretty sure, unless he was a Cairn Terrier, but I don't think he was.
Either way, fluent in Spanish.
Yes.
Much like
and
Bridget.
very good at eating wheels of cheese. Yes, I had that
for
thought
not
of
being on TikTok.
a French bulldog was
That would make sense of being one of the top 3 and also being like one that people like to follow on. Like, I feel like the youngins like a French bulldog these days. Yeah, that sounds fine to me.
okay.
Lock that in.
So I was thinking French Bulldog Jeff, because it is so popular and there are a lot of TikToks for that. But for some reason, I think Gary Fallon is a golden retriever. I think when during COVID, when they had videos at Jimmy Fallon's house, I believe Gary was running around. But if you're okay going with that, that's what I'm going to like.
I'm good with it.
All right, so those are the 2 top breeds, but Lady is a golden retriever.
Nice.
I feel like
Baxter Reynolds being Ryan Reynolds and Marshall Rogan being Joe Rogan's dog.
Oh, okay.
okay, that makes more sense.
What supplements does Joe Rogan's dog take?
Everything.
Whatever he's pushing on his podcast that week, I imagine. He played Raid Shadow Legend as well, if I recall. Okay, moving on to question 4 in the category of sandwiches. Sold in Serendipity 3 in New York, there exists a sandwich that costs a whopping $214, which is a whole lot of cheddar. Which type of sandwich is this? One that usually costs quite a bit less to make.
It's funny because I've been to this restaurant many times because they're famous for frozen hot chocolate. That's their thing. But I had no idea about the sandwich, but we can lock in.
Okay, so we're deciding to include sandwiches are burgers, maybe a wrap, whatever. So
Not hot dogs. Like, we'll draw the line there.
hot dogs.
Yeah.
Okay. So a Wagyu beef burger would be something that would be quite expensive, we think. Then
yes,
we'll lock
that
in with
sounds
that.
very expensive and fancy. Yes.
Yeah.
So a burger.
Okay, burger.
Jeff and I discussed normally Serendipity 3 is famous for frozen hot chocolate, which is not a sandwich, but we said, what's the easiest sandwich to put cheese on? We thought maybe it's really expensive grilled cheese.
Also one of Neal's favorites.
That's true.
So the answer is the quintessential grilled cheese. It is served on 2 pieces of French Pullman champagne bread, which is made with Dom Perignon champagne and edible gold flakes. It has white truffle butter and very rare cheese that I cannot pronounce. The sandwich is served with South African lobster tomato bisque as a dipping sauce.
I'm going to put an asterisk by Team Sister Act Rise of the Beehive because Ken silently talked them out of grilled cheese.
So if it comes down to that being a decision point later in the episode, we'll give it to him.
Yes.
All right, moving on to question 5 in the solar system. Which planets in our solar system make up the Jovian planets?
Okay, so we think that the jovial is connected to Jupiter. So we want to have Jupiter, and we're adding Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune.
Since that's kind of a all in order together.
Yeah, not really solid on it, obviously.
And
but that's
Bethy,
what we're going
you put your fist on the table and said it has to be Jupiter.
with.
Yes, I did.
Okay. And Ken's coffee spill. Jeff?
Oh, sorry.
So yeah, if we don't know if these are the happy little terrestrial planets. So we think it's the big 4 gas giants. We said Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune.
All right, so Jovian essentially meaning like Jupiter, it is the gas giants Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune.
Nice job.
Okay, fine.
Well, after 5 questions, it looks like Sister Act Rise of the Beehive is going to have 20 points with an asterisk for later on. And then Team Theodore Roosevelt Rex with 40 points.
All right, let's move on to question 6 in classic cartoons. Yogi Bear is one of the most iconic cartoon characters of the 1960s, but do you know which other Hanna-Barbera show he got his start on? It wasn't in a Doc Holliday special, despite what he claims.
We can lock in over here.
My rare appearance on this show. So Doc Holliday's famous line from Tombstone is, "I'm your Huckleberry." So therefore,
Huckleberry Hound, is that the one? Okay.
Yeah, and as much as I wanted it to be Wacky Races, I think Neal came up with the correct answer. He said Huckleberry Hound.
And you guys picked up on the clue. It is Huckleberry Hound.
Great clue and great performance by Val Kilmer.
I would be embarrassed we didn't get that on our own. Oh well.
It was originally a Val Kilmer clue, but I decided to go with Doc Holliday. Question number 7 in famous paintings. Guernica is generally viewed as one of the most powerful and moving anti-war paintings of all time. Which Cubist artist is credited with this work?
Okay, so I believe it's Picasso, Jeff?
Yes, I think this is Picasso.
Okay, we're going to lock in with that.
Yeah, that's what we said.
We also said Picasso.
And the answer is Picasso, because how many Cubist artists are there anyway, right?
4.
You guys locked in, right? There's 4 of
I
them?
don't know.
Okay.
It's a cube. Well,
To tell you where my brain is at, Jeff, I almost wrote down Will Sasso, which has nothing to do with Picasso.
Yeah,
but
Will
different kind of visual artist at times, for
He
sure.
plays a
If you're-
Spanish teacher, doesn't he?
on
Modern Family.
oh,
Oh, yes, you're right.
Does he?
And I just remember his vines, though, where he would have lemons coming out of his mouth.
Oh, yes. He was a big Vine star.
Yeah.
But nobody talks about vines anymore. Moving on to question 8 in cryptids and mythical creatures. The first eyewitness account of this cryptid occurred in 1995 in Puerto Rico. After an investigation, it was determined the original description was based off the creature from Species, as the witness had just seen the movie.
Interesting coincidence. Neal's like, that movie was great. It's only 6 minutes long. He just fast forwards to the parts he liked.
Let's just go with your answer.
Okay. We're going to lock in what we think is a incorrect cryptid.
okay. So the only cryptid I know from that area of the world is a chupacabra, which it sounds like is
Not, but
probably the wrong answer, but that's all we can
come up with.
come up
All
with.
right.
So
We had a similar discussion. Couldn't think of what exactly that creature was that Natasha Henstridge turned into after seducing men. So, Jeff, we said the same thing. Chupacabra.
Well, sometimes you should just trust your gut because it's the chupacabra.
There we go.
And I wrote that question so I can say that our new team name at Bar Trivia is the Pika Chupacabras, and we have a great logo, and I'll post it in the on the page on Facebook.
In the crop.
If you're checking it out. Yeah. All right, moving on to question 9 in sports rules and regulations. So, in the newest XFL season, they have removed the point after try after a touchdown. There are 3 different options that you can do after you score a touchdown. What's the most amount of points a touchdown can be worth in the XFL this season?
That's my guess. I have no bearing here, though.
You guys not keeping
I
up
think
with the
that's
XFL?
I don't care about off-season football. I don't care about on-season football anymore, really. So
I've been watching a little bit of the XFL, so I think I know what he's going for, and I just can't remember the point system, but I'm pretty sure we're right with this.
okay.
So we're gonna lock in. What do you two think?
So they're saying how much is a touchdown worth, but they got rid of the just a regular field goal, which would give you the extra point from going from 6 to 7, and then redoing the touchdown. I don't know, it's not called that, but for 2 points.
2-point conversion.
Right. So which
So
makes it
just-
8. But I wonder if when they got rid of the 1 point, did they add like something else you could do to get 3, and it would be 9 points, or do you just go with 8?
I say we just go with 8. I'm not going to know anything else.
Okay, so you're gonna go with 8. I think what they did was you get the ball either on the 1 yard line for 1 point, 5 yard line for 2 points, and I think 10 or 15 yard line for 3 points. So we're gonna say if you do the really long conversion, you can get 10 total.
Ooh.
So Neal is very good at knowing the XFL, but very bad at math. You can get 1 point from the 2, 2 from the 5, or 3 from the 10, making it 9 points.
Why you wrote 9?
I know, I wrote 9. That was my bad. Sorry. I was thinking I really screwed up.
Thank you.
It's all even now.
It's all even.
Neal wrote 9, and then he crossed it out, and he wrote 10 factorial.
I was like, yeah, and for some reason I was thinking touchdown was 7. I'm like, no, it's 6, idiot. But that was my fault. That was my bad. I'm sorry.
That might be my favorite thing that's ever happened on the show.
So we're even now. Yeah, the asterisk is gone from Ken.
All right, let's end round 1 with some wine. Question 10 in wine. No, the final S isn't for sloshed. In order to truly appreciate a glass of wine, one would be best served sticking to the 5 S's. I'll give you number 1, which is C, and number 5, which is savor, the first and the last ones. But what are 2, 3, and 4 in the 5 S's?
So we'll go that.
So these two?
We'll add in this one for the third.
All right, we'll omit suck. Okay.
And squash. You don't have to do the grapes yourself, right?
Right. And Bridget, you seem to be someone who's probably good with wine. I don't know. I could be making that up because you lived in Spain. So I'll let you guys take it away. We're locked in.
Oh, yeah. I've got some great S words. I've got slosh, spill, soak. Any of these
Soak in
ringing a
that
bell?
wine. I said spit.
Well,
And a tasting potentially. Yeah, I can see that.
we were given C and savor, right?
Yes.
Okay, so smell. So we're ending up with first step you gave us was C. So we're adding swirl, smell, and sip.
Okay. So they're going swirl, smell, and sip. Jeff, I think we had the same thing.
I think so.
Yeah. Swirl, smell, and we said swish.
Yeah, but that's because I thought you meant swirl.
Or I'm sorry, swish, smell, or smell, swish, sip.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we mean swirl.
We mean swirl.
All right. Well, you're going to see the wine first, then you are going to swirl the wine, and then you're going to sniff or smell. I'll accept either. Then you sip, and then you savor. So you guys both had all the steps, maybe not necessarily in the right order, but let's give points to everybody because I like to give points to everyone.
Thank you, Matt. After the first round, it looks like 20 points is all that separates both teams still. So it's going to be Theodore Roosevelt Rex in the lead with 80, but only 20 points behind Sister Act Rise of the Beehive with 60. Matt, what do you have in store for the swing round today?
All right. So the swing round is all about the Emmys for Best Comedy. I am going to give you, we're going to go back and forth. You're going to get the year. You can answer it with just the year for 10 points. If you want the lead actor or actress, you can answer it then for 5 points. And then if you still need a little more help for 2 points, I'll give you the year, the lead, and a brief synopsis that will really make it obvious what the show is. Who is behind?
Sister Act.
We are.
So Sister Act, you can choose if you want to go first or second.
Let's go first.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right, so you guys are going first. So number 1, the year 2018.
So take this.
We'll take
lead.
the next clue.
Yeah.
All right, the lead actress is Rachel Brosnahan.
Oh, that's the marvelous Mrs. Maisel, as I recall. That's what we're locking with.
All right, and for 5 points, that is correct. The year was 2015.
Matt, we think we know it, but we just want to be safe, so we'll take the next clue.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Yep, we were right.
We were right.
We should have gone with it. We have Veep.
Veep for 5 points. All right, moving on to number 3, Sister Act. It's 2008.
Do you want to get the second clue, or do you want to?
Sure, I'm fine with that.
All right, the lead actress is Tina Fey.
Oh,
So that's 30 Rock then.
That is 30 Rock and 5 points for Sister Act. All right, Theodore Rex, your year is 2005.
Let's go everybody with Raymond.
Oh, you want to confidently guess?
I feel good about it. I just watched an interview with him on Rich Eisen, and I was like looking up his IMDb, and I think we're in the right area.
Okay.
All right, for 10 points, the answer is Everyone Loves Raymond.
Neal.
why does that strike me as such an earlier show?
It seemed way late for that show.
It
They
did.
won Emmys way late.
I think it was like a
into their
legacy
run.
thing. Like they were almost ending. They're like, oh, let's give them awards.
All All right, moving on to Sister Act. Your year is 1998.
Yeah, because there's not a clear one for us, right?
Yeah.
So we'll get
can we
that
get the actor.
Yeah.
The actor is Kelsey Grammer.
Frasier.
Yes, the answer is Frasier. Moving on, Theodore Roosevelt Rex or whatever you guys are, 1992.
Yeah, I'm not as confident as I was on the last one. We want to get the actor.
We'll go for actor.
All right.
Candace Bergen.
Murphy Brown.
Murphy Brown.
I was wondering if that was going to appear on here.
Yeah.
It's Murphy Brown for 5 points. Sister Act, your year is 1986.
Yeah. Yeah. I would want to
Get the actor, and then we need the actor.
B. Arthur.
Oh, so Golden Girls.
For 5 points, it's Golden
I feel like
Girls.
we sound so disappointed every time.
Every time.
It's like you're supposed to know the years for Emmy Awards.
Right. I guess it's okay that I don't.
But like the actor totally gives it away, so it's like, come on.
Yeah. I will never get to these great synopses such as the series explores the relationships, advantages, and challenges they navigate their golden years with humor, wit, and grace. You'd never get it.
But now I'm like, they were so young to be in like retirement. Nowadays, it feels like that. Anyways.
Well, 50 is the new 80 or whatever we're talking about.
They still needed to be somewhat sexy.
As the Golden
They're
Girls.
hot in Cleveland 30 years later. Moving on to 1983.
No, Cosby won. That's why it's either Cheers is either 83, 84, Cosby's 85, or Cosby's 83, and then Cheers is 84, 85. That's why I'm getting mixed up.
Actor.
Sure.
Let's go George Wendt.
Yeah, Cheers.
All right, Cheers. Yeah.
It's Cheers. The lead of Cheers is obviously George Wendt, and that was the answer. All right. Moving on. 1977.
Take the actor.
We'll take
though,
the
right?
actor. Okay.
Okay. The actress is Mary Tyler Moore.
Oh, now I'm totally lost.
Mary Tyler Moore show, maybe.
That is correct. You almost talked yourselves out of it.
Neal wrote that down by the year alone.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's impressive.
Originally, this was going to be Oscars, and
You
Jane
thought that
told me
was
that
too...
Neal would have all of them by
Yeah.
the year, so that would not be fair.
Thank you, Jane.
Even I have Oscars from like 1988 to current because of Neal, like memorized. So
That's so funny.
I know
All
some
right,
in
and
the
the
70s.
final one, 1974.
Just to be safe for these last points, we'll take an actor.
Alan Alda.
MASH, right?
Yeah, we'll go with MASH.
And the answer is MASH.
We took it all. We brought them to our land. An endless night, ember hot and icy cold. The rage of the earth. We made this curse. Carved it in the blood on our backs. We did not see. We could not, but she did. And in the end, what will I become?
Senwa Saga. Hellblade 2.
Play it now with Game Pass.
After the swing round, it looks like Sister Act Rise of the Beehive is picking up 25 points, bringing their total to 85, and Theodore Roosevelt Rex picking up 30, bringing our total to 110. Before we get to the second round, just want to say thank you to all of our patrons who helped make this show possible, including the two in our studio today. So thank you, Bethy and Bridget, for being here and for supporting the show. It means a lot. And Jeff, what can people expect if they go to patreon.com/trivialitypodcast?
If you are interested in supporting the show financially on a monthly basis, there are so many great options over at Patreon, including ad-free episodes. So if you're interested in that, often we will put those out just a little bit early, depending on our production schedule. We have special bonus episodes for patrons at $5 more or month. And just to set the record straight, you could be on the show without supporting us on Patreon. We do very much appreciate it, and we do try to give you priority booking, but we love and appreciate all of our guests without being creepy. So but if you're interested in supporting us, we'd very much appreciate it. Patreon.com/trivialitypodcast.
And Bethy, would you say it is a good Christmas present?
It is an amazing Christmas present. So if you're not sure if you want to spend that money in that way, think about birthday or Christmas. It's a very fun way that I like to spend my time, and it definitely felt like a very good gift.
Well, thank you, Dr. James, for being a saint. Matt, what do we have for the
Dr.
second
St.
round?
James?
Dr. St. James.
Dr. St. James sounds like a really bad, like, B-list character.
Played by Chris Kattan.
Drake Ramore.
All right, moving on to round 2, question 1 in historical figures. In 1901, on her 63rd birthday, Annie Edison Taylor fell into becoming the first person to accomplish what feat?
Okay, so the other team is locked in Jeff.
I believe she's the first person to survive falling
Into
over
a well?
Niagara Falls.
Wait, what?
Falling over Niagara Falls.
Into a well.
Oh, okay. That
She
makes
was
a lot more
rescued by
sense.
Lassie, I believe.
Okay, so she isn't Annie what's her name?
Annie Edison.
Annie Edison Oakley?
Sharpshooting inventor.
Anyway,
Annie Edison, Anya Taylor.
light bulb on her shoe.
Annie Edison, Anya Taylor-Joy.
Yeah.
She's also the person that comes out of the well in The Ring when you watch The Ring. Anyway, that's fine with me, Niagara Falls, because I have nothing better.
Yeah, I believe that's our answer. We're going to say she's the first person to survive falling over Niagara Falls.
We said the same thing.
She was the first person to survive going over Niagara Falls in a barrel, I believe.
I did
It's
have
important.
in a barrel written down.
There is one person who survived not in a barrel. I believe he then later tried it again. Did not work the second
Did
time.
not. Yeah. Don't press your luck. That is what that phrase comes from, I believe. Because he was pressed into a little ball. All right, moving on to question 2. In famous movie quotes, "Fasten your seatbelts, it's going to be a bumpy ride" is one of the most iconic movie lines of all time. Betty Davis's Margot Channing says this after downing a martini in which 1950 movie that is surprisingly not about the Rough Riders' first lady?
We can lock in.
I like it.
Ken said it was all about Eve.
A ghost whispered the answer to you, and
Yes.
you were locking in with All About Eve. What did you guys say?
Yeah, one of the best screenplays of all time. This would be All About Eve.
I figured Neal would know it just from the quote. It is All About Eve.
Great movie. Yeah, and, Marilyn Monroe, small character in that movie.
Rough Riders.
And DMX, somehow.
Round 2, question 3. In world currencies, the origin of the dollar sign can be traced back to 1785, where it is believed to have come from the abbreviation PS that was used to denote what other currency?
Yeah, we're locked in. Am I having like a moment, or did we just hear this?
Yeah, Matt doesn't listen to our episodes.
I don't listen to the show.
Well, when I thought PS and money, I thought of peso, and Bethy thought pound sterling, but we think we're going to go with the closer neighbor, peso.
We agree. We said pesos.
All right, well, the answer is the peso, so points to both teams. Moving on to question 4 of round 2. In elements of the periodic table, this noble gas is the 5th most abundant element in the universe, but somehow only makes up 0.0018% of the Earth's atmosphere.
All right, so Jeff and I discussed, I said I loved the gas from the mob boss in The Last Action Hero during the funeral, but he said that's not a noble gas. And you wrote down what, Jeff? Or you locked in, I should say.
Yes, we are locked in.
Okay, Bethy, you liked helium, so that works.
Yeah, we'll just go with helium, not overthink it, or not try to think
Not
more
try to-
at all.
I tried to under or overthink it. Just think it.
Just think it.
Okay, so you're going with helium. Jeff, what word did you circle?
Yeah, I was circling helium for a while, thinking that after hydrogen it would have been the second most abundant. So I was a little hesitant. I thought that helium's got to be too abundant. So we went with the next noble gas in line, and we said neon.
And Jeff is correct. It is neon.
So what is the top 5 elements by abundance, Matt?
It's got your hydrogen, and then numbers 2, 3, and 4, and then neon. I didn't look up the rest. I just have this information.
Disappointing me, Matthew.
I know. I apologize. I'm sure you guys have all looked it up at home, and you have it. All right. Question 5 in round 2 is in popular TV shows. Which HBO comedy drama centers on the Roy family and their struggles to control their media and entertainment conglomerate in the face of its patriarchal owner's health uncertainty?
We think of this show as starring someone from a fast food chain that we really like, so we're gonna lock in.
Yes.
I don't know why he does those commercials.
Ken's talking about why he does those commercials, and it has to be for the money. It has to be a lot of money, is my guess. Right?
Or they just really like that brand.
That fast food chain.
Yeah.
Okay, we think I remember the show because I was so disappointed that the guy from Pride and Prejudice had an American accent. And I was like, I'm no longer going to watch this. But we think it's...
That makes sense. I get it.
Secession is what it's called. I've not seen it, but yeah, we're locking in with Secession.
So you're in agreement. So you love this.
We're leaving. We're out.
Secession.
It was a very short show.
Do you want to read?
Secession. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
So speaking of Pride and Prejudice, you love that moment then when his hand shakes.
Sure.
When he's trying to hold that urgent. Okay. We think it's starring the voice of McDonald's, Brian Cox. So we also said Succession.
Wait, I thought it was Kieran Culkin who did that.
No, Kieran Culkin should be Pepsi because he pees his pants from Pepsi.
Oh.
Home Alone.
Well,
Home Alone reference.
Yes, of course.
all of that is correct. It's Succession.
After 5 questions in the second round, Sister Act 2, Rise of the Beehive, picking up 40 points, bringing in their total to 125. And Theodore Roosevelt Rex picking up 50 points, bringing our total to 160. And just a quick little note from the magic of editing. We all took a little bathroom break, and Bethy, you got to see the famous Shakespeare poster in the bathroom. What were your impressions?
I just marveled at the poster as a whole, since I feel like it gets referenced on the show a lot.
Did you catch any of the typos? There's many.
Did it have more
I did
or
not
less
look
spelling
super.
errors than you were anticipating?
I did not look super closely at the typos, but Bridget learned.
I just saw a bear, and I was like, wait
Yeah.
a minute, what? A bear in Shakespeare? And
Yes,
then
Antigonus,
Bethy was like,
I
obviously.
believe, exits pursued by bear in The Winter's Tale.
Yeah, The Winter's Tale, yeah.
Something that I only know because of my bladder.
There you go.
And speaking of bathroom habits, Matt is now back from the bathroom for question 6, I think.
Now, just in time for question 6 in round 2. It's famous landmarks. The St. Louis Arch is the tallest monument in the U.S. It stands an amazing 630 feet tall. Within 10 feet, how wide is the arch?
After some drawing and some carrying of the wands, etc., we thought maybe it was wider than it is tall, but not twice as wide.
A little less than double. So
we went with 1,200 even.
I appreciate you drew your arch impressionistically on your page there. Jeff, I had no idea. I wrote 1,500, but that's way off apparently.
Yeah,
So
I think it's a little off. I haven't been there. It was probably about 8 years ago now that I was there. But Matt gave a very small range, and I thought, why would Matt give a very small range? And it's probably because he's being a bit of a cheeky bastard. So we said 630. I think it might be as wide as it is tall.
And you would be right then.
Well, we appreciate all the math you did anyway, but it is as wide as it is tall, and the answer is 630 feet.
wow. Did you said that, Bridget, right?
No, she did.
Or no, Bethy did.
Bethy
Okay,
said
yeah. I knew you both said it. Okay.
Yep.
Then she got railroaded into a different answer.
Well, and it's
That's
a lot
trivia
thicker.
for ya.
It's a lot thicker at the bottom, right, than
It
it is at the
is.
top. So
So
I
it
thought maybe
was
it's a little bit of an
more- hang on, now I
optical
gotta adjust
illusion.
my drawing.
All right, question 7 in round 2 is in World War II. Following World War II, President Truman signed the Economic Recovery Act of 1948, providing aid for those Western European countries most affected. More known as the Marshall Plan, it was named after George Marshall, who held what title at the time? If it was signed today, it would be known as the Blinken Plan, which doesn't roll off the tongue as much.
We think that the Blinken is Anthony Blinken, who is, we believe, the Secretary of State. So that's what we're going with, Secretary of State.
And you also drew a picture of Anthony Blinken. So we're going to agree with you. We think it's Secretary of State.
Weirdly, it's like
He's like-
photorealistic.
It is photorealistic, yeah.
Yes, and the answer is the Secretary of State.
Very nice.
Good job to both teams. Question 8 in round 2 in mythological gods and goddesses. While being mostly associated with the sea, Poseidon was also the god of this land animal, of which I'm pretty sure they aren't referring to the sea version, because it's on land. What a weird way to write that, Matt.
Oh, yeah, that's with his clues, that makes sense.
Although we were tempted to put chicken, like the chicken of the sea, or maybe a cucumber, like a sea cucumber. Bridget honed in on horse, so that's our final answer.
We think it's horse.
And the answer is a horse, of course.
You've been firing on all cylinders. I think you're feeling comfortable now in the studio.
A horse is a horse, of course, right? Unless
Yes.
it's Mr. Ed. Is that how that works?
Usually. That's what I believe. All right, question 9.
Sorry for being 85 years old.
Question 9 in round 2. Famous authors. This author of novels such as The Carpetbaggers, and The Adventurers sold over 750 million books in the 20th century, putting him roughly 5th of all time.
All right, we have no idea over here, so we're going to lock in, but you two seem to be writing some stuff down. I don't know.
We went through a lot of authors and a lot of books, and we think we might be off by the years with Mark Twain, but we're going to lock in because of the Carpetbaggers, we think, and he's well enough known that we're going to lock in with Mark Twain, we think, Samuel Clemens himself.
A lot of authors mentioned across the table. We really had no idea. Initially, we were trying to do a play on F. Scott Fitzgerald, and we were going to say Ferdinand du Gray Scott Fitzroy. But then we thought, who's an author who has a lot of books, who has a lot of influence, that seems like he's probably a time traveler and not human? Neil Fisher. We said Tony Robbins.
And if you had just said the last name, you'd actually be correct. This is Harold Robbins, who had 25 bestsellers on the list, sold over $750 million in books, and no one knows who he is. Number 5 all time. Crazy.
What?
Who is Harold Robbins?
This just proves that
can be your
fame
next
is
book,
even
Neil.
less.
He wrote
permanent than you think.
sultry novels.
Oh.
And they were very, very
So
popular.
of course we don't really know
In the
who
20s?
has his books.
I would never know who that was.
Couldn't
The
hear him,
flapper's
no.
dress approached her knee.
Gives a whole
She
new
showed her
Harold
ankle.
Robbins. Oh my
gives a whole new meaning to the word carpetbaggers.
Statistically, there are 6 people in this recording. One of us reads exclusively romantic novels.
That's so funny.
Who's the only one who knew his name before the question?
Harold Robbins.
Matt, because he wrote it.
Yep.
Yeah, that is 100% correct. I didn't know it before I looked it up. All right, final question. Question 10 in round 2 in human anatomy and physiology. Sounding like a piece of shapewear, what is the name for the fused bones identified individually as the ilium, the ischium, and pubis?
Well, I know that those are all parts of the pelvis. So the ilium, the ischium, and then the pubic bone is just like where they meet up front. But what sounds like shapewear, I'm going to just say hip flexors, even though I think that might be some muscles.
Right.
So,
Is there anything else that's bone? It's a system of bones is what we're looking for, the name of a system of bones.
I would just call that hip bones.
Right,
So
but
that's why that
there's
doesn't sound shapewear-ish. So
There's nothing like the Wonder Bones or the Sphinx. I don't know. Like I'm trying to think of shape.
like a wonder bra.
Right. Okay. Hip flexors works. Flexor could be a.
All right, so you're looking with hip flexors. Jeff, well, you said we were thinking of ilium, ischium.
The Odyssey.
The Odyssey, correct. And Bethy, you said you think the bones connect with the pubis, and as we know, all roads lead to the pubis. Jeff, you had I was thinking pelvis as well. Yeah, all roads do not lead to the pubis for Ken, but he is big in the ischium area. It's what do you call it? It's a erogenous zone, the ischium. Jeff,
Just remember, not all bones lead to the pubis.
Oh, they do, Jeff. They do. So you wrote down something to do with pelvis, which I agree with because I think it is in that area.
Yeah, so talking about this question, Matt was talking about a piece of shapewear, and other than Spanx, I really couldn't think of much until I came up with what I believe is possibly the answer, and we believe this might be the pelvic girdle.
And speaking of
you're
girdle,
right.
Ken, do you remember that unreleased movie that Dana Carvey did as a sequel to Master of Disguise where he wore a girdle? Girdle.
Nice.
Girdle.
He was girdle enough for the girdle club. This is the pelvic girdle.
Nice,
we should have
Jeff.
gotten that.
After the final questions in the second round, it looks like the final scores going into the final round are going to be 145 for Sister Act 2, Rise of the Beehive, and Theodore Roosevelt Rex picking up 40 points, bringing our total to 200 even. So It is still anyone's game, but
Gee, dang.
high scores today.
All right, your final categories are going to be denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance.
All the wagers are now locked in. Matt, let's hear those questions.
All right, here are your final questions. In denial, this former Wizard and Kentucky Wildcat is the all-time leader in blocks for a point guard, having passed Jason Kidd just this last season. If you don't know him for his defense, you may remember him for his Dougie, which he would not teach me to do. In anger, The Angry Video Game Nerd is a popular YouTube series where host James Rolfe plays old Nintendo games and then gets, you guessed it, angry about it. The first game he ever reviewed was what NES adaptation of an 1886 novel by Robert Louis Stevenson? Question went all over the place. In bargaining, the most expensive thing ever sold to the Pawn Stars team were the original sketches from which 1963 Savage children's book? In depression, known for their sad blob commercials, sales of this antidepressant peaked in 2004 with more than $3 billion in sales. The commercials went a long way to destigmatize antidepressants as it became a bit of a pop culture phenomenon, having parodies on Mad TV and Family Guy. And acceptance. In between their debut album and follow-up album Pinkerton, lead singer Rivers Cuomo was accepted to which Ivy League school? If he wanted to destroy his school sweater, I assume it would be crimson.
Okay, we're going to mull over these questions and be right back with our answers. All the answers are now locked in. Let's go back to Matt for the questions, and we'll see how everyone did.
All right, in denial, the former Wizard and Kentucky Wildcats, the all-time leader in blocks for point guard. You might remember him for his Dougie. Who is this point guard?
Yeah, we wagered 20 points all the way down on these questions. For some reason, I was thinking it was a current Wizard, but
Right.
But we had no idea, so Jeff just threw out down Dikembe Mutombo for 20 points. Oh, and the other team wagered 30 points.
We had no idea either. So even though we were tempted to say Harry Potter, since he is a wizard, we just went with Harden.
They went with James Harden. No, the answer we were looking for is, I believe he's a current Clipper. He's moved around a little bit since he left the Wizards. This is John Wall.
Ah.
A name that did
That's
not
a great
ring
name
any
for a
bell.
defense guy, right? Like,
Yeah, right?
Yes. Okay, let's move on to anger. And the Angry Video Game Nerd played this game, which was adapted from an 1886 novel by Robert Louis Stevenson. What'd you guys have?
For 20 points again, Jeff had this one right away.
Yep. We guessed, well, I don't know if we had it, but we guessed his most famous. We said Treasure Island.
we also said Treasure Island.
So
for 30 points.
So I didn't mean for Treasure Island to be a red herring, but it was apparently because this is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Oh,
wow. All right, 0 for 2, both teams. First question, first two questions.
Acceptance.
We are off to an excellent start.
Well, you were in denial. You thought you were going to do well, and now you're angry.
Yep,
So,
going through all
so what do you guys got for me for bargaining? The most expensive thing ever sold to the Pawn Stars. It's from a 1963 Savage children's book. What do you guys got?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we wagered 20 points on this one, and Matt, really, I hope if you could be so generous as to like help us out in case, in the event we didn't get it. We said that this was going to be Where the Wild Things Are by Maurice Sendak.
And you also wagered 30 points on this one?
We said Where the Wild Things Are by Maurice Sendak.
Sendak, yeah.
And they paid nearly $250,000 for these original sketches. It is Where the Wild Things Are.
Yeah, we only needed the...
I think
book
they
titles.
liked the book so much because, like the book, Vegas is also full of wild things.
Mm-hmm. And Chum Lee was apparently very wild at some point, I believe.
The way you said that, I was like, the Street
Chum Lee,
Fighter?
Chum Lee, as he's known. All right, moving on to depression. Let's talk about the sad
Yes,
blob.
yes, indeed.
What was that company?
Yeah, I remember the ads well. It's Zoloft for 20 points.
We also said Zoloft. I definitely remember that ad for 30 points.
And the answer is Zoloft. So you guys are coming around. Let's
Hey.
move to acceptance. Rivers Cuomo, which school did he go to?
Yep, for 20 points. It helps to have a brother who's obsessed with Weezer and talks
No,
about it all the time.
Does he? That hasn't come up on the show.
Has it? I don't remember. Anyway, Rivers Cuomo famously went to Harvard.
We also said Harvard.
And the answer is Harvard.
Right.
So finishing strong for both teams.
The scores are in, and it was a close game, especially in the end there. It could have gone any direction, but 0 for, 2 in the beginning. It kind of went downhill from there, but it looks like the final scores are going to be 170 for Sister Act 2, Rise of the Beehive, And today's cream of the crop, Theodore Roosevelt Rex with 220 points.
Yeah, I know. I'm living in a nightmare, and I am the cream.
Great game, both of you.
Thank you.
It was back and forth. We were trading blows, literally and figuratively. Jeff has a black eye.
It was just Ken. I don't know why he just reached over and socked me.
Bridget threatened to punch you in the face at one point, but we stopped it.
Well, I'm actually Neal. She threatened to punch me in the back of the head.
Matt, thank you for writing that game, and I guess thank you to ChatGPT. We don't want the computers knowing we don't like them. Right?
To be fair, I did write all the questions, just so people don't think
ChatGPT is not yet at the.
It is a very bad trivia writer.
So.
I did ask it to write a question, and it just said, who has the most something or other. It's really bad. Don't use it. We still need trivia writers.
Exactly. We need trivia writers. So if you'd like to be on the show, email us at trivialitypodcast@gmail.com, or you can find our sign-up sheet. We're probably going to have a new one coming out at some point in the future, but there's one in the crop and on Discord, I believe, if you search for it. If not, just send us an email. We'll give you the link. But let's start with Bethy. Thank you so much for organizing this, and Dr. St. James for helping you with that. But anything you'd like to tell the people at home, or any final words before we let you go?
I guess just thank you, James, for getting me this present. And even though you put Jimmy in pajamas for the zoo today, I still love you. And
thanks to our dad who made us play Trivial Pursuit all the time as kids, and we started as a family to really love trivia and passed this podcast on from me to Bethy, to our other sister Barbara, and our brother Billy, all the bees.
So Bill Brophy, the founder of the Beehive and the OG trivia gangster.
Yeah.
Well, and thank you, Bridget, for introducing Bethy. And we said off air that one of our listeners who's been on the show before, Gabby, who lives in Spain, is the one who introduced you to the show.
Right, when we were living in Spain.
That's so cool. Well, shout out to Gabby. Thank you so much for making this connection. I think the best way our show can spread is through word of mouth and by people telling others. So if you like the show, just try and tell one person, even a month or a year. Just tell one person you like the show, and we'd be very grateful for that.
Yeah, it's ludicrous, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
And can I say one just shout out to my husband who's taking care of the 3 little kids so that we can be here, and Celine and Gigi and Demas who are behaving themselves at the zoo, hopefully. So thanks to Charlie for letting me come and do this.
And hopefully not in their pajamas.
Yes, exactly.
And I think one thing we want to say for sure is just a thank you to Airwave Media, our network. If you go to airwavemedia.com, you can listen to other great shows like the Daily Meditation Podcast. My History Can Beat Up Your Politics. I'm sure a healthy way to talk about politics. And Subtext. So definitely check out some of those shows. And you can see even more information about our show at that website. And also find us at patreon.com/trivialitypodcast, on social media at trivialitypod, Discord, The Crop, etc. And I'm going to hand it over to Ken to take us out because he's been silent the whole time and he's been bursting at the seams. And all right, Ken's going to say something. Okay, and Ken says, thank you very much, everyone. He didn't want to go on mic. For Matt, Jeff, Bridget, Bethy, Ken, and myself, my name is Neal, and that was Triviality.